So it's round 3 and a big gang of hairy blokes with their choppers out. Exactly what Romans were designed to fight. I mean, these are Vikings. It doesn't really matter. Northern Europeans. Big hairy guys swinging away. And we're going to try and use our Disciplina manoeuvre to counter the massive numbers, large units, and sheer hitting power. And at the end of the video, I've tacked on some footage of the actual presentations so you can see the final placings and the wonderful red carpet final award ceremony that came at the end of it. So sit back, enjoy the battle, another interesting one, and it's thinking about the overall situation. I've got myself to about 4th table, so top 8 I guess at the moment. Really need to go for the full points. I'm going to push up for a top 3 placing. Didn't get to play against Simon or one of the other top couple in the last game, or Peter, to try and really upset the rankings, but if they get a low score or a draw or something, there may be a chance to steal. So we've gone for the setup, and Adrian's really wanted to get loads and loads of the dense woods. He's got a box full of trees with him. And he wants to narrow the table because he doesn't have mobility. He's well aware of it. He wants a narrow table and just crush me with superior numbers. As you know, the great thing with the Romans is the diagonal moves, the manoeuvrability. I like putting as little as possible on the table and sticking it in the corners and things like that. And then we drew the cards, and if you can see from here, there's an awful lot of diamonds. And diamonds mean scenery gets removed. So you've ended up with that. Lovely jubbly. Now, exactly why the Romans are fighting the Vikings in the middle of a desert, that's up for you. But that's where we've ended up, an open plain somewhere, an arid plain. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know, can't think of anywhere. North Africa, the Vikings have wandered. But here we go. Nothing real to comment about. The left-hand side got a little bit of impassable. There's a hill. I think that's a tempting defensive position for the Vikings, maybe. I hope so, because I want to go anywhere near it. And anything that stands over there will be out of the battle. Yeah, so Vikings draw an ace. You think you're going to win scouting, and I draw an ace. And the Vikings actually out-scout the Romans. How bizarre is that? So unfortunately I have to deploy second. Sorry, I have to deploy first. Give away some of the initiative I wanted. So sure enough, my opponent has decided to go over there and take that secured flank. He needs a secured flank. What else can he do? I mean, no cavalry or anything, or a tiny bit. And needs to cover the flanks. That's the vulnerable thing, especially with large units. They don't like turning. So I think he's looking to build a block over there. As you can see, I'll put my first command in the centre. My cavalry is on this wing. And I've deployed in such a way that I can put my other command over on the far left, either side of my main unit, and again on this right-hand side, and go for a big chance. So we're deploying 3 commands, and I'll get some saying where I put my third one after seeing the second Viking, but obviously not knowing his whole deployment, which I would have preferred. Right. So here's the situation. We're matching up in the centre. I've got to use that big open plain on the right, and I've got the cavalry. And what I'm hoping is, because the Vikings have deployed a bit to the left as we look, he's not going to be able to fill all that right-hand flank there, and there has to be some gap somewhere. I mean, he's well aware when he's picking out scenery, what he really wants is a narrowest front, not to have to worry about flanks, but he hasn't got that. So it's going to be difficult to cover all that area. So sure enough, it's gone as far left as possible. And the line looks a bit broken up there, so I'm thinking that's got to be my target. And my cavalry's on the right. Anyway, quick pan across. You can look up the details in the list if you wish to. Trust me, it's loads of hairy blokes. So we've got nearly all large units, so you need 3 hits to destroy them. There's skirmishers, chucking things, bows, whatever. A lot of the Vikings have got spears, which is worth bearing in mind because that affects cavalry charging them. Okay, so more of them. And then that strange gap that was left. Not quite sure what the thinking was before we get to the right flank. And this is the tough guys. This is where you... the difference is here... I can't remember exactly how he showed them, but I know it's the... Some of them are elites. They got the better armour save and stuff. So, yes, loads and loads and loads of them. Nicely painted army. lots of figures on the bases, quite intimidating, especially for a small army like mine that's facing them. So here's pretty much where we go. They're starting to, Vikings are coming forwards, doing what they're going to do. They want to close on me, and very tempted to have that anchor of the rocky terrain centre left, which I conveniently placed for him. And he's worried I might be able to swing around that far right. It's the old Wargamers flank with the edge of the table covers your flank. Something real generals would have loved, I'm sure. Now, interesting. Now the elites on the far side have really come cantering up. They pushed up, pushed up, pushed up. They're his best troops. Wants to get them into the contest. My thinking already is that maybe the guys on the left can be out of the game and they've got some terrain to negotiate. They might get a bit of bad luck. They look a little bit exposed. This is one of the things that's magical again about To the Strongest. He wants to push up quickly, but you don't know if the other guys are going to keep up until you actually do it. Oh, and the red markers, ignore those. Just my opponent's way of remembering which ones have been activated. They are not casualties, unless you see them next to Romans. And also you'll notice my beautiful high-tech pillar markers and javelin markers close up. Right, so here we go. On the right, I've just gone steaming straight in. The cavalry, what you can't see on this photograph, was on the far right-hand edge. There were a unit of skirmishers covering that flank square, and that's something worth remembering for the future, because the cavalry just steamed straight through them, and we caught them and destroyed them. So now we've got a flank. Turn one. So I know it takes ages with a large unit, but you have to get one across there at least to cover that flank, and then nudge forward, even if it costs a turn. I think that's crucial, because now I've got that flank, that large unit on the right. It might be elite or whatever, but they can't face both ways, and they've got cavalry to the front and side. And I'm thinking, right, as fast as I can, everything's going to fly this way, diagonal the legionaries across. If I can destroy a whole command, then in true pattern style, I don't know, do you say exactly who the hell worries about the flanks or something like that? Anyway, the flanks have to worry about itself, the left flank. And I'm hoping that little bit of scenery will just tempt him to slow down and hang on to what he has. Okay, oh, that's a nice shot. So you can see my guys are pouring up. My units were 2 to a square, they've diagonaled out. I've got to expand my frontage. So the same old story, if you watch some other battles, there's now a thin line covering the one flank on the left, and everything else is going to burst through in the centre and the right. And I'm also thinking, if I had got luckier, I didn't get all the activations I wanted, I was tempted to actually push up beyond this unit on the right, because it would stop those units at the back from getting to the battle. And I can also push up another unit behind and have a diagonal attack on the... I hope that makes sense. Basically, I can gang up on this unit on the right, and the guys you can see with the cloaks push forward to stop the Vikings advancing. Again, so I can really mob this unit on the right. Yeah, so what I'm starting to realise and getting quite excited was this is a bit like a sort of Cannae situation in reverse, with Hannibal drawing on the centre to envelop on the flanks. And with the mobility of the Romans, the best unit's actually this back left. It's got the standard, it's the veterans. They can diagonal out to the left, push forward again, and then turn to come in on the flank. Whereas the units actually facing off against the Vikings on the left are just the javelins, the weaker ones. So I don't really want to push forward, draw him on, and give myself another flank to exploit. Unfortunately, drawing the ace, so they're stuck there. Yeah, the irony. Game 1 up against Alexander the Great, and did a Gargamella in reverse, and now these guys are going to be Romans. Well, I fancy myself as a Hannibal. No ego issues here. And that's what Romans do, of course. Right, okay, so the left-hand side, as you can see, unfortunately taking damage. They are tough, these large Viking units. They're pushing forwards. Again, the situation where I'm probably going to back off. And also bear in mind the tournament situation. I don't really want to lose any units. I'm going to try and get the full 200 points, which is tough in an infantry slog like this. Okay, so the right-hand side, the cavalry on, far right is coming around. I need these 3 hits. The elite units, I think they're saving on 6s. So it's a 50-50. So you're going to try to do 6 hits. It's hard going. So you have to keep chopping away. And starting to get those numbers in the centre. And sure enough, we all ganged up. I was going to push the guys with the cloaks forward to pin the ones behind, and then bring another unit up. But, you can hit 2 extra activations before you start attacking. So I've taken the gamble, gone for the attacks, gone for the pillums, heroes, everything. And had a very fortunate turn there and knocked those out, which gives me a chance to really overwhelm that right-hand flank now. So that's what you call it, a little bit of a bonus start. Which was, the bonus is cancelled out on the far right, though, where the cavalry just can't hack its way through that unit, even though we got them on the flank. And the way Adrian shows casualties is very nice. If you look on that top right-hand unit, you can see one of the bases has been turned back. So a diagonal, that shows 1 hit. Then he turns both flanks back, show 2 hits, and then takes them off. That works really well. Thought that was neat. So you can see the unit in the middle facing the light cav, and the javelins, they've got 1 flank turned back. And as you can see, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units swamping around those now, and open battlefield in front. It's almost tempting to go start looting camps straight away, but I need that unit on the right. The good thing about large units is we're 3 points each when you break them. So here's the centre, just backed off. We're wounded, we've backed off, we've rallied. Fine, happy days. Your job is to hold in the centre. We're going for the double envelopment now. Let the flanks do the work. And you just hold your ground, guys, and be good Romans. Alright. So again, trying to smash through here. I'm not doing it. Not succeeding. I think it's actually the Vikings' turn there, trying to smash through me. And again, my opponent, I got lucky. I mean, Romans are tough to kill. But the guys he's up against are the javelins and the light cav. That was my weak spot. My right flank's actually quite weak. What it does have is manoeuvre and speed against numbers and pure toughness. So I just want you to hold on, guys. Just keep chucking your javelins, try and pick away, and when hopefully that cavalry will come sweeping round and take the glory, as horsey boys like to do. So here's the left flank. And you notice on the far left, good old my general there, my 30-year-old figure, has been through many campaigns with me. He's now acting like cavalry. The 2 legionaries who were wounded pull back, and my effectively cavalry has swung around to the left, and you see that big ace by the Vikings. So he can't turn to face them. But to be honest, what do? Do you turn in... What I was worried about, he would get the turn to face the unit outflanking him and charge. That was a gamble. But they're a large unit, so those manoeuvres are more difficult. Hopefully my guys can hang on, and then I'd have a flank for these blokes piling up from the bottom. The javelins, I mean, there we are. They're better backing off one rather than trying to hold that line. Yeah, so as I mentioned there, Hannibal, obviously one of my great heroes. For all you to military history, know the Battle of Cannae, one of my favourites for tactical skill. If you want to see a double envelopment in reality, think of Battle of Cannae. And I have to say, to the strongest, whatever people think about the simplicity of the rules, gives you a chance to use tactics like that. So the slightly weaker centres falling back, and then we're wrapping around the flanks for a double envelopment and trying to crush the heavy units opposite us. Irony again. The Romans doing it to someone. But there you go, that left flank. Unfortunately, you can see all the cards piling. Activation after activation after activation after activation. Both flanks turned back on that large unit, but couldn't quite kill it. But now we got double wounded unit on the flank. I'm going to start rolling the flank up from this end with the infantry and with the cavalry on the other side. And when these guys at the javelins, you can see I used a 9 to pull them back. So I couldn't risk trying to draw a 10 to actually rally them. But it's okay, because the guys facing them are now pinned by the infantry to their side. So these guys can take their time rallying. If the Vikings face them, turn to face the Romans on their flank, they can run in, chuck their javelins, or they can make whatever. So this is working out very nicely indeed. It's actually worked out better than the right-hand flank, which is where the attack was poor. As you can see on the right-hand flank, the cavalry's stalling. It's now got, you might be able to tell, 2 wounds on that large unit, but can't quite break through. Ignore the red dots, that's just to show which ones he's activated. And if I had all day to play this game, those central units would probably start backing off slightly just to avoid casualties. But we've got to go for the win, so got to keep them up there. Yeah, looking at that situation, just hold their ground with their Romans armour, should be fine. Look at that then. On the right, we've got them open on the flank. They're double wounded. One more hit. We take them off. Almost, game's almost won. Almost enough points. Might even have been enough points to break them. And then the double ace. The dreaded double ace. You get the 8. So you don't activate. That's a 1 in 10. And the general's there, no problem. Detached commanders. Stuff I talked about earlier. Get the second ace. And that's it. It's supposed to be 1 in 100 chance of that happening. And it's a bit like the old Terry Pratchett saying that the thing about things that are 1 in a million chance of happening is that they happen all the time, and it's like the double ace. It should happen once in 100. I suppose they were. If you play 100 turns in a day, maybe. No, I play about 30 turns in a day. Anyway, that stopped that, which means the game goes on a little bit longer. Because if they had destroyed those this turn, they'd have the flank stroke rear of the unit. You can see the bottom left-hand corner, and their mates all helping. The game would have been done nice and quickly. And 200 points. It didn't work out like that. But meanwhile, the infantry is doing a bit better, and they're bashing their way through that flank. I was hoping if I could take out both large units in one turn, that would be the game. So that would be 6 points. And the infantry did better than the cavalry. And we were running out of time, and I have to say, something I haven't mentioned, what a fine opponent I had. We had really good fun, good chat, good banter. Very funny guy, lots of amusing anecdotes and stories. And he didn't slow play. He kept going. He gave me every chance to get the result in the time. I mean, we can both see by now that the Romans are going to win this. But no, fine spirit and very enjoyable. Okay, so there's the overall position. As you can see, the classic double envelopment. The only slight fly in the ointment is those skirmishes up on the hill on the left, being annoying to my outflanking legionaries. But he's hitting on 8s and saving on 5s because the general's with them. Unlikely they're going to get damaged much. And I've been brave enough to actually push forward on the back left. And we're a bit more engaged with Nitterbeck. Just left it to the flanks. But like I said, you have to allow for time limits. And sure enough, got the double swing and took out the legionaries. Not even the javelins. I lost 2 points there, and I think that's really my... the chance of 200 points, and the overall tournament's gone, but in fairness, did deserve something. Hadn't had a lot of luck on activations. And there you go, that's really. So the cavalry on the right, finally doing their damage, and they get their extra hits. I think now I'm really getting desperate because time is running out. I'm like, come on. I've got red dots appearing, if you notice. Another legion there with the cloaks. Oh no, I start losing a few units. I've only got 10 points to lose. Each legionary is worth 3. Suddenly it starts to become... so every time I lose a legionary, it's 15 tournament points. Anyway, on the top right, you can see the cavalry have... Have they gone through yet? I'm not really sure. But you can see it's... I've now got 2 red dots in the middle. That's the key. I'm starting to get a little bit nervous. I don't want to lose those guys. I should have followed Hannibal and just kept edging back my centre and leaving the flanks of the enemy even more exposed. And quite the opposite. And you see, trying to get that result. But yeah, I think the cavalry has gone through on the top right. You can see they've destroyed those finally. And we've got an overrun coming up just to roll up the whole flank from both ends. Look on the far left. So there's a close-up of the cavalry running through, and they've now hit this unit in the rear twice. So you can see the unit on the far right has got 1 turn back. Unit on the left, as we're looking now, has got 2 turn back. I've got 3 units on the Vikings, or even 4 wounded or double wounded. I just need 1 more to go for the win. On the left, look at that blinking ace. And I didn't use the detached commander again. It's so hard when you're taking about 45 seconds a turn. But anyway, it was... that's life. And here we go. Finally got enough to activate. Not the best picture we've ever seen, but there we are. We got the 2, which is great, so you can attack. And as you can see, the unit in front of them is already on double wounds, so 1 more breaks them. And it's actually through the middle. So there you go. You see, I should have pulled them back to avoid losing units and taken my time and let the flanks do their work. But, as is shown there, actually getting a bit of luck in the middle, finally broke through and won the game there, and it was on time. I mean, that was the last turn. So if it hadn't gone that way, it would have been more of a draw. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's a great example of double envelopment, and everything just worked out. The scenery was a big thing at the beginning, you know, not having those nice open flanks where Adrian was desperately trying to put lots of trees on to stop me doing that. If the flanks had been closed, this would have been a very difficult one. This would have been a real slog. Here we are. Sorry, the blurry picture. I just want to get some idea of the smile, the fun we are having. Sorry, it's not a better photograph. There's a better one there, but he's not, well, you can see he's joking rather than laughing on that one. And this is for the regular viewers, a chance to play Spot Roger. I've been having some comments lately that Roger doesn't exist. He's an imaginary friend of mine who just appears in games. But if you're quick, you will catch a glimpse rather than his face. Anyway, one of my good friend there I play most of my own games with. Ironically, we drew each other in round 2, and they did agree to let us play someone else. So there we go. Right, I'm going to try and edit on some videos of the closing ceremonies and awards, and you can see where I ended up and where everyone else ended up. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please leave your comments and give To the Strongest a try. It's excellent. Don't let the simple look of it and the cards put you off. I spoke to someone the other day, he said, oh, all those cards look silly. Forget that. This is a game where you can use proper military tactics. And it's do that rather than worry about learning tons and tons of rules. Worry about learning historical battles, tactics, and how best to use your troops. And I'd also like some suggestions, please, for what army I should try next. It's the heavy cavalry Teutonic Knights last time. It's the mobile Romans this time. And I don't know what to go with next time. So please leave your comments, and I hope to catch you all soon. Keep flipping.